we're just going to do command line tool just to get a very basic template for a command line tool so we can try out Objective-C. I'm just going to call this basic syntax demo. And the type, we're going to use foundation here so that it has the foundation framework, which has the things like NS string that we had covered that we'll want to take a look at and be able to use. I'll hit next here, and I'll go ahead and hit create. And now we've created this basic project here. Okay, and as you can see here, just like we had said that Objective-C uses C as a superset of C, it has a main function, which you maybe have not seen in a while if you haven't done any C with this syntax here. And we're kind of going to ignore this part here, this NS auto release pool and this pool drain. It allows for some auto management of memory, some pooling of it, but we don't really care about that right now. And for the most part, developing an iOS application, you won't really need to care about this much. So we're just going to ignore that. We're just going to run this to make sure that this works. And you can see this is a method here that we hadn't covered so far called nslog. And what this does is it basically just logs a message out. And so in this case, it's just going to log this NS string message of hello world. So I'll go ahead and click run here. And you can see it's compiled it. And then if we look at the output section here, we can see that it says hello world. Program ended with exit code 0. So basically that nslog just put out hello world. So let's go ahead and create ourselves a class. So I'm going to go ahead and go in here. I'm going to hit the plus here. And I'm going to do a new Objective-C class. And I'll just do it. Actually, it doesn't matter where we do this here. We'll just do Objective-C class. And then it's going to subclass NSObject by default here. That's what we want. And then I'm just going to call this, we'll call this calculator. And we'll just make that calculate, that add method on here. So I'll save that. And now you can see it's created this calculator.h and .m. So let's take a look at what it's done so far. With the .h, it's imported this foundation library here so that we have access to NSObject and all those NS classes. We just have a basic interface here, and that's how we declare that it is going to inherit from here, from NSObject. And the calculator.m class, it's basically blank. It just has an implementation and an end here. So let's go ahead and give it a method. So in order to do that, you do this outside of the interface part. This is a little bit strange. You would think that it would go inside here. If you did some variables, if I said int a, that member variable would go inside there. But for the method declaration, we're going to do it outside here. So I'm going to have it return a type of int. This dash is making it be a private or a instance level method. And then we're going to call the method add. And then it's going to take an int called a. And then it's also going to take an int called b. And that's it. There's our method. And then we need to provide an implementation for it. So in order to do that, we just go inside this implementation file and we do the same exact thing here. We just say int, and then we do add, and then you can see it's already detected from the .h file this, so we can just hit tab, autocomplete that, and then we provide our method body, and we'll just do a simple return a plus b. Save that. Okay, so now we have this add method, and we'll just test this out in our main. So let's go ahead and go in here, and we'll leave that hello world. Let's create a new calculator class. So if you remember from the basic syntax how to do that. Oh, before we do that though, we need to import. We need to declare that we have this class in there. So we do a calculator.h, and that provides us enough information to be able to create our calculator. So we're going to do calculator. Remember, it needs to be a pointer. So we do star calculator equals, and then we're going to nest this. We're going to do this init and alloc all together. So we're going to do calculator alloc which allocates that new calculator class, and then init, which inits that class that comes back. And now we've assigned it here. And then to call a method on it, we simply do calculator, and we're going to choose our calculator here, and then we just pass the method name. So we do add, and it kind of auto fills this in for us. So let's add 10 and 20. And let's assign that to an integer that comes back. So let's declare an integer, and we'll call this sum, and we're calling calculator add 10 and 20 on it. And then let's go ahead and log this out just to see what we get. We're expecting 30. And here you can do like scanf. Basically we're going to use %d here, just like you can do in C and in C++, and in C# you have an equivalent here, but in this case %d just says that it's going to come out as a decimal. So I'll just do sum here, and so that's going to format that. Oh, we need the capital S. So it should come out formatted that way. To do a string, I'll show you that next. And in this case, we can do a substitution, just like we do with string.format in C#. So I'll go ahead and run this code. And you can see here, we've got hello world. And then right after that, we've got 30. So that's it. I mean, it's really not that hard. It's pretty straightforward, pretty simple. And let's go ahead and do one more thing here. Let's do a property. So in my .h, I'm going to declare a at property, and I'm going to do retain here, which makes it so that, remember, it's going to handle memory allocation, and we'll do it of type NSString pointer, and we'll call this name, and this will be the name of our calculator. And then we need to do one more thing here. I've gone to the implementation file, and inside the implementation here we do synthesize, and then I can do name, and it auto-completes that. So now we have a property, and to demonstrate this, let's go ahead and below this line, let's take our calculator and let's do .name equals, and we'll say Joe, and then let's log that out and make sure it says Joe. So we'll do at, and then the syntax here, if I do %at, it's going to format an NS string or NS object. So you can do this with NS number, which is kind of the wraparound number that's provided in Foundation. But in this case, we'll just use calculator.name. And that's just like string format. It's going to spit it out here, formatted in here. And in fact, just to demonstrate this here, we'll say my name is : and then it's going to replace that %at with the calculator name. So let's go ahead and run this. And there you go. My name is Joe. Let me expand that so we can see it. But you can see here it says my name is Joe. And so that's really it for the demo here. You can see it's not that hard to do Objective-C. It looks a little bit different than what you might be used to if you've been doing C#, but it's fairly simple and straightforward.